everyone, I'm Dawn. Excuse me, welcome to my channel. I swear, I freaking love you guys. You're all so awesome. But we need to talk about the pretty much self-proclaimed best-selling author, Gypsy Rose, and her cyberbullying video. Yeah, everyone's talking about it. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard wants to tell all of us how to behave. She thinks she's the one to tell everyone what is moral and true and right. This bitch used her vagina, the thing she thinks is magical, the mouth of madness, if you will, to get a challenged, desperate for love young man to help her commit a vicious act against her mother. And she continues to blatantly show the world how truly morally corrupt she is. But she thinks she's the one to lecture anyone on good behavior. She's sitting there and acting like she cares so much about bullying and how awful it is and how terrible it is, when the true story is she's just sick of getting shit on for killing her mother. People reminding you of your crime and trying to hold you accountable for it because you got a slap on the wrist, that's not bullying, bitch. Although I am sure that some people are actually bullying her, the majority of people are just trying to speak truth to what actually happened with the evidence and the proof and the documents we now have. They're trying to present the documents. They're trying to present the phone calls, which are telling, and all the information that is now available, on the case. Mostly thanks to Into the Weeds. Thank you, ladies. And the great work of creators like Becca Scoops and Toddy Oneskip, among many others. They're trying to hold her accountable for doing irresponsible things in her life. All the while, unfortunately, this disgrace of a human being is a role model to young girls. She is, unfortunately, and that's sick. She wants to sit there and act like she has the moral high ground on all of us after she plotted and planned her mother's demise and manipulated a mentally disabled, challenged young man to do the dirty work for her. And I'm not convinced she didn't have a hand in the actual act herself. You know what my mom would say about Gypsy? She would say she has full of shit-itis. It's a serious condition. It really is. I heard all about it when I was a kid. So anyway, I had to listen to her video via sources other than her, as I am not going to give her any of my social currency, or social media currency, if you will. She wants to talk. Excuse me, I'm still getting used to not having oxygen on. She wants to talk about the dangers of cyberbullying. That's rich. Her and her little cabal of ass jammers have relentlessly bullied people. Relentlessly. Some right off the internet, but thank God most are standing strong. And she wants to lecture us about cyberbullying. Bitch, please. If you can't handle it, Gypsy Rose, get your evil stepsister looking ass off the internet. No one is forcing you to be here. No one really even fucking wants you here. She talks about the pitfalls of social media. One pitfall of social media is a mommy murderer that, should be spending life in prison. Some people believe under the prison, is allowed to get on YouTube and spew her bullshit. She talks about how people are, saying such heinous, horrible things online. Like, you manipulated a mentally challenged young man into murdering your mother for you. And you have no shame. Murderer. Adulteress. You should be held truly accountable for the bad things you've done. Yeah, that sounds like terrible bullying. You shouldn't have put someone's job at risk because you all of a sudden think you're Fantastic Sam. Yeah. Quit acting entitled. The world doesn't owe you. Yeah. I could see why someone with no conscience and no morals would, think that's bullying. Yeah. And to say people who cyberbully get little to no reprimand for, cyberbullying, for doing it. The bitch did 8 years for murder. She did 8 years and it was a vicious murder that was planned and calculated. And don't come at me with, she didn't do the kill. She planned the whole thing, beginning to end. And I'm not totally convinced she didn't participate in the act. Little to no reprimand. She got a slap on the wrist for murder. As far as I'm concerned, she can crawl right back in to the orc pod she crawled out of. That's an insult to orcs. And she says it goes beyond her. But no, this is all about her. This is all about her. She doesn't like that people can read right through her bullshit. She doesn't like that. And she's going to sit there and act like she's a professor or something when she's guilty as sin of cyberbullying herself. She has to act, she has to act like she cares about other people. She doesn't care about anybody. She doesn't give a shit about anybody except to the point to where they serve her for what they can do for her. She thinks, if she acts like she cares about, other people because, she thinks that might soften their reaction to her. Then she talks about seeing people go through it. You've put people through it, bitch. This is what we call consequences for your actions, Gypsy. Something you've never actually faced. You brought all this on everyone that you're involved with, yourself. And again, Gypsy is a big-ass cyberbully. Again, not doing the dirty work herself. Of course, she can't do that. She enlists weak-minded people to do that for her. Weak-minded people. Weak, feeble-minded people. Feeble. She points out that people think it's okay to say the worst things they can come up with. Like murderer. That's a bad one. I wouldn't want to be called a murderer. I sure wouldn't. And I know that people have attacked Gypsy's looks and all that. I know that she has been bullied to an extent. But her little minions have done the same things to people that are against her. And I'll refer you to Becca Scoop's very good video, excellent video covering this, and I'll link it in the description so you can check that out. But I'm sure most of you have already seen it. But that is one thing every single person that has an online presence is going to go through. It's something we're all going to deal with. We've all dealt with it. I don't disagree with her. Cyberbullying is wrong. And it is a problem, but I hate the fact that she's sitting there acting like she's not responsible for a huge chunk of it, because she thinks that if she gets other people to do it for her, then she's not guilty. We've heard that story before. But the only reason she made this video is because she is now getting heat because of the salon-centric thing, and now she has to make it seem like she's on some noble mission. And then she uses her baby to try to make a point, to try and give an example about when she grows up. Yeah, Gypsy. Yeah, that child is going to grow up and she's going to learn more of the true details of what happened, of what you did, Gypsy, what you did to Dee Dee. And My only hope is that Ken gets that baby far, far away from her. I never wish for a mother to lose their baby, but in this case, it needs to happen. Gypsy is a danger to that child's psyche, if nothing else. But that's what Gypsy doesn't want to happen. She doesn't want her little girl to find out the truth. It's not about bullying. It's about her finding out the truth. If I were to advise Gypsy, I'd say get the hell off social media, change your name, change Ken's name, change Aurora's name, move away and start a new life, because that baby's never going to have a normal life with you as a mother, Gypsy. It won't eliminate cyberbullying, but she can at least try to distance herself and her family, from the excruciating minutia of living life online. But she won't do that because she savors the attention. She gets off on that attention. But this video isn't about cyberbullying. That's just her excuse. Her video was about, oh shit, I have to put a mindful video out to try and get people to see me as human. We see you as human, Gypsy. We know you're human. Just a bad human. You're a bad human. And your minions are bad humans. Yeah. And then she talks about rumors. Rumors aren't bullying. They're not. And not every creator is spreading rumors. She thinks every single creator is spreading rumors about her. Most creators are just discussing the case, talking about the FOIAs, facts, documents, details. And that's what Gypsy doesn't want. Sure, lies suck, but most creators, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, respectable creators are stating opinions and facts. Opinions aren't bullying. They're not. Facts aren't bullying. Uncovering the lies and raising valid questions, that's not bullying. It's not, boo-boo. It's not bullying. And then she brings up her mom in prison and, how she was prevented from having a voice. She's prevented from having a voice, playing the victim again. That's what she does best, playing the victim. She's never responsible for anything. It's always someone else's fault. She's a professional victim. She talks about being called murderer. That's not name calling. Calling someone a murderer when they are in fact a murderer is not name calling. That's just a fact. Gypsy, you are a murderer. Whether you identify as one or not. I don't identify as one. That's what you are. You'll never not be a murderer. And people have a real problem with that, and I don't blame that. We have a problem with you serving 8 years for a vicious murder when Nicholas is serving life in prison. That's a problem for people. And she has said such nasty, nasty things about Nicholas. She's a bitch. She is a bitch. She doesn't care that she's responsible, because she is responsible. She doesn't care. And people have a problem with that. Yes, in the state of Missouri, based on sentencing guidelines and the crime, he got the appropriate sentence. Nicholas got the appropriate sentence. Gypsy's the one that didn't get it. The only option was life without parole or the death penalty. But the anti-Gypsy public, or what I like to call the logically thinking members of society, they think that Gypsy should have gotten the same sentence. That's not bullying. Expecting justice for a murderer to serve an adequate sentence for their crime, that's not bullying. That's not bullying. Expecting your ass to still be in prison, Gypsy, is not bullying. But just a question, because I'm almost done. I got to wrap this up. Is there anyone out there, and answer in the comments if you're comfortable doing so, is there anyone out there that think Gypsy and or Nicholas should have gotten the death penalty? I'm just curious. I don't think so. I'm generally opposed to the death penalty, except for people like Stephen Stearns. They can hang him from the highest tree that they can find, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just curious what you think. Now, you don't have to answer, of course. Obviously, you don't have to say anything you don't want to. Only if you're comfortable. I'm just wondering, is there anybody out there who thinks she should have got the death penalty, or Nicholas should have got the death penalty? I'm just curious about that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. You know, my bullying. I got a bully. But I'll talk to everyone later. Bye.